Okay, I started recording. So you
No cussing, guys. All right, we are this semester's Evansville News Lab, fall of 2025.
I'm Liliana Lynch, a freshman accounting and economics major.
I'm Colton Kimmerly, a freshman accounting major.
I'm Ian Prinz. I'm a sophomore sports communication major.
I'm Austin McKinney, and I'm a freshman sports communications major.
I'm Bryce Johnson, also a freshman sports communications major.
I'm Jonathan Baker. I'm a computer and political science major.
I'm Nathan Grell. I'm a freshman. I'm a sports communication major.
So News Lab all started because people realized that Evansville, Indiana was a news lab, or it was a news desert, and that was overshadowed by the national news, not really any local news. So a couple years ago, people stepped in, decided to create a change lab to create change of that. So that is our history. This year, we did a lot of working with voting, our times, listening sessions, and social media that we'll get to in this presentation.
So just a little bit of history about our times. It was created in 1983 by Sandra Matthews. Its main purpose was for African Americans to kind of get their voice out there, kind of spread like their accomplishments, and for them to have a voice in our community. Recently, Rashida has helped tremendously. She's part of our team. By pushing it out more on the media rather than paper. They still do paper, but to reach like a larger audience and reach more people kind of like our age, media is the easier way to do it. We're all on social media, we're constantly on our phones, so it's an easier way for us to get that kind of news. And then their main mission is equality, truthful information, and preserving history. So since dating back to 1983, they have history and all this stuff to go back and look on. Finding true information is really difficult. We've seen that a lot of people are trusting influencers more than real, reliable news sources. So part of their mission is making sure that people are trusting them, and then so why do we work with our Times? So our Times not only benefits us, but it also benefits them. So one of the important ways is we don't work for them, but we help put out more information in the community, like going to these listening sessions, putting together and meeting and interviewing like different people. So like I was able to meet with the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club. Meeting with people like that, especially in a professional setting, benefits everybody. We're able to get more information on them, other nonprofits that the team has worked with, and it gives us that feeling of being like in a professional setting, and especially with somebody that like prominent, and it puts us on the other side of interviewing. All the time, since probably most of us have worked jobs, where you're on the opposite side, you're the one getting interviewed, and you're getting asked questions, and being on the opposite side of that, asking them questions, can be great, and it's also a networking thing for us as well.
Alright, so our listening sessions, for those of you who don't know what a listening session is, it's a crucial tool that we use to gather information about current local issues related to journalism. These listening sessions are open to the public. In these sessions, we ask people various questions related to local journalism, and they give us their opinions. We do a lot of preparation heading into these listening sessions. We generally start off with baseline questions that we ask at each session. These questions can look like, where do you get your news from? Do you feel represented in the news? And what is missing from the local news? We then brainstorm various topics we like to discuss in these sessions. These topics can be from voting to local issues to media literacy. Then we discuss questions that dive deeper into each one of these topics that we'd like to ask so we get to the root of these issues. We then create flip charts like the one pictured right there. Flip charts are just a poster board that you put sticky notes on to give your answer. This one, it says, it's a Likert scale, and on a scale 1 to 5, how informed do you feel as a voter? You just write your answer on the sticky note, put it on the board. And then we discuss how we're going to advertise our event, which we will get to later on. We had 4 listening sessions scheduled this semester. We have a partnership with the EVPL. So we had 3 of them that are meant to take place there. We had one at the East Branch, the Cola Branch, and North Park. Unfortunately, the one at North Park didn't get to happen because they had But the one on campus was arguably our best one. It had the largest turnout, and we got a little creative with how we got people to show up. We had free pizza there for anybody who showed up, and we had a professor that offered extra credit for showing up to that as well. Instead of doing a flip chart to keep it interactive, we did a Kahoot. So we believed it'd be better for the younger, since we're all the same age as people there. We thought that'd be a more fun way to do it. We have 3 main takeaways from listening sessions this semester. The first one is that there's a lack of understanding of local issues. This is for several key reasons. The first one is that there's a lack of local connection. Many journalists in Evansville are not from the Evansville area, so they don't have that grassroots connection that many journalists elsewhere would have. There's not a centralized point of information. There's not, you have to go to many different sources to get different information on subjects. It can be tricky to feel well informed. Then there is an overshadowing by the national media over the local journalism. So you see more headlines of what's happening in DC and New York than you would in Evansville. And many key topics do not get covered or not have adequate coverage. The second big takeaway was that there's a significant trust issue between consumers and the media. Older generations tend to trust the newspaper over websites and social media. Younger generations tend to not trust journalists and trust social media pages such as Evansville News Watch. And there's also, many people feel there's a bias within the news. And 3, unreliable sources of news are not easily accessible. This is largely due to paywalls on websites such as the Evansville Courier, causing readers to be disengaged and uninformed. Going forward, we're going to be focusing a lot on advertising next semester. So a lot of our listening sessions didn't have the best turnouts. A lot of people that came there gave us great information. We want more people there so our data can be more accurate. One of the ways we're going to do this is by increasing our social media presence. We've also discussed possibility of billboards and maybe even TV advertisements. Then we're going to be talking about name change, as we feel the name listening session does not bring what we want to the table. It feels like that you're going to be listening to us talk to you, and instead we want to hear your voice. Here are some of the names that we have came up with. While we haven't fallen in love with any one of these are some that we will be thinking of. At the end of the presentation, there will be a little survey that we will ask your opinion on these names, so if you can fill that out, that'd be much appreciated. And finally, we're going to be continuing our partnership with the EVPL. We believe it's very beneficial towards us, and it's a good way to reach the community. And we're going to be looking for a partnership within the local news agencies to get both sides of the story and figure out how to fix these issues.
When we took over the social media page this year, we realized that the last post was made on November 18th of 2024. With this in mind, we decided that our main goal for this semester was just to reactivate the page and make it more out there and more consistent so people actually knew who we were. One of the ways we decided to do this was to create get-to-know-yous of everybody in the class. This also helped bring awareness to who was in the class so people on campus could come talk to us if they had questions or even wanted to join the class, or even people around town, if they happened to see our post, could talk to us. So to do the get to know yous, we asked everybody in the class for questions that they felt like would be good answers for people just to get an idea of who we were. We all agreed on name, grade, major, and then we all decided that a fun fact would be a good way to get in to know somebody. And then we also wanted to do why was News Lab important. The hardest part about this was getting everybody's responses from the email I sent and getting a picture that we could use. But once we got our first response for all of the things, we created a template and we made all of our posts through Canva. So we created a template on Canva, and this was easier to update the information about the next person. Once we got quite a few people's information, we started making posts and consistently started posting from September 24th. And then we also made other posts like meeting our advisors. And with the meet our advisors, we just wanted people to know who our advisors were and to give them the credit for everything that they've done this semester as well, and for the program as a whole. And then the social media team also did some of the marketing strategies that we did this semester. So on the left, there's a picture that we created just trying to get different people to join News Lab. So we, in the comment section, did what class to look for on self-service and how to register for this class, and it was posted before we all registered for our classes this semester. And then on the left, we have a flyer that we created for our North Park listening session, but we did have to take this post down because of the construction. But we instantly gave a reminder on or an update on our story on Instagram and reminders leading up to the listening session. We weren't, however, able to go take back all the flyers that we passed around the north side of Evansville, so we just had to hope that they were able to see our post online. And then we decided that all of our posts this semester would try and use the Evansville News Lab branding. So that would be the Evansville News Lab logo, purple, cream, and the light blue gray color. And the only one that was different was our flyer because we wanted it to catch more attention.
So we'll look at some of the social media statistics over since we took over the account. So on the left here, you can see the past statistics. So that was our last post before we took over the account, at a total of 331 views, and we wanted to spike that number up dramatically. So for our first post we were able to get 2,371 views. Key way we were able to do that, everyone in the class would like the post and repost it to get engaged on their personal social media accounts, to get a lot of people we contact on campus to see our page and basically go off that. You can see that the accounts reach from our past posts was 79, and then on our next post was over 1,000. So we drastically improved those numbers, even on our first post, just getting everyone in the class involved and how to spike the numbers. And then here's a look at the past 90 days on our overall account, how many views we had. We had 16,217 views of our account, which was a drastic improvement from earlier, and we reached 24,970% increase on accounts reached, and 20% of those views were from our followers, and we were able to get 80% non-followers to see our page.
Now, moving forward with social media, we thought that it would be a good idea to first look at other organizations with similar goals to ours, to kind of compare and contrast ourselves as to see what we can do better and improve on in order to help increase our social media presence. So first we looked at City Bureau, which is another not-for-profit organization in Southside Chicago. We looked at how they have a Pulitzer Prize winning article. They have this program called Documenters, which is something that we will eventually get into. We didn't really get into it this semester, but hopefully we'll get more into it in the future, whereas it's more of a civic journalism movement in which you get people to go around to these local things happening, like city council meetings, school board meetings, and they can write down notes and upload it to this giant cloud of all these different articles, and it's just called the Documenters program. So in Southside Chicago, they had 1,300 people sign up to be one of those documenters. And they have 36 official staff members, which obviously we have a much lower number. And so we're kind of like comparing, we don't have as many numbers as them, so obviously we're not going to get to the level that they are, but hopefully we can get something achievable that's close. So we thought that a good relative spectrum in order for comparing ourselves would be to compare the percentage of their population that's in their coverage area and try to relate that to our own. So in Southside Chicago, their follower count is equivalent to 5.5% of Southside Chicago's population. And then moving on, we also have Resolve Philly, which is a similar organization based in Philadelphia, and they reported as to having 294 documenters in February of 2025. They are, with using their follower account, they're a much smaller account with only 0.13% of the population of Philadelphia. So that was kind of optimistic as seeing, we're having kind of a slow start as well, but there are a lot of other organizations that are in a lot worse spot than we are. So that's something that we were proud of ourselves for, is kind of already being ahead of the ball. So there actually is another program that has a news lab, and that is at Penn State. I took a little bit more of a deeper dive into this because I thought it was interesting that another university was kind of taking up this initiative and this mission as to spreading local news and improving those news deserts around the country. And they also have their own documenters program, and looking at their account, they're a much larger university with only 259 followers. So we're already pretty close to reaching that goal. So, speaking of goals, some goals for us moving on to help catch up with these other organizations and News Lab program is to try to have around one post a day, whether that's, you know, keeping a balance of being professional and also showing our personality to help build trust and build a relationship with our followers and people who look at our stuff. And in order to increase that amount of people, we have a goal of around 1,700 followers, which is about 1.5% of Evansville population. We think that that's a good number to kind of get us started when it comes to next semester, as increasing our voice, which also increases other people's voice, which we think is really important. As Colton mentioned, we had a very large increase on engagement, and we want to keep that up. We want to continue the trend with engagement and maybe even improve on it, even though it is a very large number.
Another branch that News Lab will be covering is voter turnout rates in the Evansville area. Data from the Vanderbilt Canvas report shows that in 2020 there was a 60% turnout rate, and that dropped nearly 23% in 2022. Going into next semester, it'll be another midterm election, and this isn't just a COVID thing that caused the turnout rates to drop. This is a repetitive cycle caused every single midterm, and that's something that we want to target. We want to we want to target voter apathy within the Evansville student body as well as the community, and we're going to be doing so through many different resources that we will provide to students in the community through listening sessions, social media as well. Some of those resources are the News Lab website. On that website, we will have different things such as a voter registration guide where we will provide links and sources for anyone to learn how to register if they don't know, or register in an easier way. And then we will also provide information about who will be on the ballots, information about these candidates, what they support, links to their own personal websites and social media pages as well.
So our next semester ideas, we're going to host a voter registering event in hopefully late February, early March in 2026, where people can come to iCamp, sit through a presentation that is given by either me or Jonathan or both, where we just educate people on voter apathy and why it's important to vote, especially in a midterm election, and why it's really good to just get out there because we have a very low turnout in midterms. At the end, we'll have the resources provided for Indiana, how to register to vote in Indiana, and the surrounding states such as Illinois and Kentucky. And we'll also have a link for Texas as well, as we have a very big Texas student population. Another thing that we would like to do is convert that presentation into a poster board and go to local high schools and educate the seniors and anyone else who is not registered to vote to get registered, and like I said, voter apathy and why it's important. So thank you everybody for coming. If you would scan this QR code, fill out the little exit survey we have. It's on your screens as well. This will be still up, so if you can scan it while you're watching this video, do that as well. Did everyone scan it?
I'm getting it.
Go away. Sorry.
Thank you. I'm slow, but it's my fault. Okay, here we go.
All right. Any questions?